Marsau and Maurice, two of the biggest names on love and marriage. Huntsville shocked fans and rocked the reality TV world when a heated disagreement spiraled into a bloody brawl that left both men behind bars. Yes, you heard that right. A physical altercation so intense, it not only landed them in jail but also shattered their public images and ignited one of the wildest scandals the franchise has ever seen. What exactly went down between these two brothers? How did a successful duo, known for their sharp suits and sharp minds, end up on opposite sides of a jail cell? Marsau and Maurice have been household names ever since they debuted on Love and Marriage. Huntsville, known for their ambition, complicated family dynamics, and unfiltered honesty, the brothers were at the heart of the show's most talked about moments. But what fans didn't see coming was how deep their issues truly ran. Behind the glitz and glam of reality TV, tensions between the two had been bubbling beneath the surface for months. While Marsau, the older brother, was often portrayed as the more confident and financially successful one, Maurice had carved out a strong name for himself, especially in the legal world. Still, despite his own achievements, Maurice sometimes felt overshadowed, and Marsau's blunt criticism didn't help. Much of the tension reportedly stemmed from their personal and professional rivalry. Marsau frequently inserted himself into Maurice's marriage to Kimmy Scott, making unsolicited comments about their relationship. His jabs, often disguised as brotherly advice, crossed the line, leaving Maurice feeling undermined and disrespected. Maurice, always trying to balance his roles as a husband, father, and attorney, grew increasingly resentful. He felt he was constantly under pressure, not just from the public eye, but from his own family. As the show progressed, fans began to notice the cracks forming. Passive-aggressive remarks turned into on-screen arguments, and awkward moments between the two became more common. Viewers assumed it was just another storyline, but insiders suggest the drama was all too real. The breaking point, what finally pushed them over the edge. Sources say it all happened at a private family gathering, one that was supposed to bring resolution, not conflict. Without the cameras, the brothers hoped to clear the air. But instead of a peaceful conversation, the meeting quickly turned into a storm of pent-up emotions. Years of tension, jealousy, and bitterness boiled to the surface. The fight, according to those close to the situation, wasn't just about a single comment. It was about power, control, and respect, or the lack thereof. But it was Marsau's final remark that allegedly lit the fuse. What exactly did he say? Some claim it was a deeply personal jab involving Kimmy, while others suggest it was an attack on Maurice's character and manhood, something no brother could let slide. Whatever the trigger, Maurice snapped. What started as a war of words quickly escalated into a full-blown physical altercation. The scene turned violent, with punches thrown, furniture overturned, and guests fleeing in shock. Authorities were called, and both men were arrested on the spot. The fallout, the aftermath, was immediate and brutal. News of the fight spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and social media. Fans were stunned. How could two men who once seemed like the epitome of brotherhood and success end up in handcuffs? The fallout extended far beyond their reputations. The Scott family was thrown into turmoil. The show's producers were left scrambling, and both brothers faced legal consequences that could impact their careers for years to come. For the Love and Marriage franchise, it was both a PR nightmare and a ratings magnet. But behind the headlines lies a deeper, more painful truth. This wasn't just a fight between two reality TV stars. It was the implosion of a lifelong bond, from accusations and secrets to betrayal and heartbreak. This story is more than just a scandal. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when fame, family, and unresolved emotions collide. Imagine a reality TV world where the stars aren't just fighting on screen, but off-screen too, and not just with words. In one of the most shocking twists to ever hit Love and Marriage, Huntsville, brothers Marsau and Maurice, two of the show's most prominent figures, found themselves at the center of a violent altercation that left both bloodied, bruised, and behind bars. Yes, you heard that right. A real, physical fight. And this wasn't a minor scuffle. It was an all-out brawl that shook their fans, their families, and the entire reality TV community. The fight that crossed the line, the argument began like so many before it. heated, emotional, and full of long-standing tension. But this time, something was different. According to witnesses, the brothers were more volatile than usual. Words were exchanged, voices were raised, and tempers flared. The line was crossed when Marsau allegedly made a personal remark about Maurice's masculinity, a low blow that triggered an immediate, visceral reaction. What followed was almost unbelievable. The two men, both physically imposing and emotionally charged, began throwing punches. It wasn't just yelling or shoving. This was an intense, violent fight. Furniture was overturned, objects were broken, and chaos erupted as onlookers rushed to separate them. But by the time they succeeded, the damage had already been done. The police were called shortly after the altercation broke out. When they arrived on the scene, they found both men injured and still seething. Marsau and Maurice were arrested on multiple charges, including assault and disturbing the peace. Maurice faced charges related to physical violence and disorderly conduct, while Marsau was accused of instigating the altercation. This wasn't just another argument caught on camera for entertainment. It was a violent incident with serious legal consequences. Photos surfaced showing both men with visible bruises, cuts, and the aftermath of the destruction. The reality of the situation began to sink in. These weren't just reality TV stars anymore. They were now facing potential jail time. News of the brawl broke online within hours, and fans were left stunned. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from disbelief to outrage. How could two men who built their reputations on family, integrity, and leadership spiral so far out of control? Some fans came to their defense, pointing to the pressure of fame and the burden of being constantly scrutinized. Others were far less forgiving, calling their actions disgraceful and demanding accountability. For a show that prides itself on depicting the complexities of marriage, success, and community, this was a PR nightmare. Public apologies and damage control in the days following the incident. Marsau and Maurice issued a joint statement on social media. In it, they apologized for their actions, expressed deep regret, and acknowledged that they had let themselves and their fans down. Marsau, in particular, took responsibility for instigating the argument, admitting that his words had crossed a line. Maurice echoed the sentiment, explaining that years of tension and unresolved issues had finally reached a breaking point. But were the apologies enough? For some fans, it was a step in the right direction. For others, it felt like too little, too late. The damage to their reputations was already done. These weren't just TV personalities, they were role models in their communities. And now, they were seen as symbols of what happens when fame, pride, and pressure collide. What really led to the fight? As more details emerged, many began to wonder if there was more to the story than met the eye. Yes, the brothers had a long history of disagreements. But what could have truly pushed them to this level of violence? Some insiders believe the fight was the result of years of built-up resentment. Others suggest it was something more personal, perhaps even a betrayal or family secret neither brother was willing to address publicly. Whatever the truth is, one thing was clear. This wasn't just about an argument. It was about power, control, and the crumbling foundation of a once tight bond. One of the major factors believed to have contributed to the explosive altercation was the relentless pressure of reality television. Being in the spotlight can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brings fame, money, and influence. On the other, it exposes every flaw, magnifies every conflict, and places relationships under a microscope. For Marsau and Maurice, love and marriage, Huntsville had elevated their public profiles, but at a cost. The need to appear successful, composed, and family-oriented created unrealistic expectations. Behind the scenes, unresolved personal issues were quietly festering. The cameras, the constant public judgment, and the competitive dynamic between the brothers all added fuel to an already smoldering fire. While many believe the fight was a culmination of personal tension, others speculate that third parties may have played a role. Some insiders hinted at outside influences, possibly from within their personal or professional circles, that may have escalated the situation. Whether it was a business partner, a family member, or even a mutual acquaintance stirring the pot, the possibility of external manipulation can't be ruled out. Was someone intentionally driving a wedge between the brothers? Could jealousy or rivalry from someone close to them have pushed things to the breaking point? The truth remains murky, but the impact is undeniable. As the dust settles, Marsau and Maurice Scott face an uncertain future. Their legal battles are ongoing, their public images have taken a massive hit, and the dynamics within their family and the show may never be the same. This wasn't just a headline-grabbing fight, it was a wake-up call. A brutal reminder that fame doesn't shield you from real-life consequences, and that even the strongest bonds can be shattered when pride, ego, and pain go unchecked. The question now is, can the Scott brothers rebuild? Or has the damage been done? While the fight between Marsau and Maurice Scott appeared to be a culmination of sibling tension and long-standing rivalry, some fans believe the altercation may have been influenced by more than just personal grievances. According to growing speculation, outside forces, including their spouses, business partners, and even fellow love and marriage, Huntsville cast members, may have played a role in igniting the fire. Could it be that someone close to the brothers was indirectly stoking the flames? One theory centers around Kimmy Scott, Maurice's wife. Known for her calm demeanor and rational perspective, Kimmy has long been a stabilizing force in the love and marriage universe. However, keen-eyed viewers have noticed subtle but noticeable tension between her and Marsau throughout the show. Some speculate there may have been an undercurrent of jealousy or competition between the two families that escalated behind the scenes. Though Kimmy never directly involved herself in the brothers' disputes, it's possible she may have been unintentionally caught in the crossfire, further deepening Maurice's frustration with his brother. Both Marsau and Maurice are highly successful entrepreneurs in the real estate world, and as their individual empires grew, so did the sense of competition. With large deals, big money, and public recognition on the line, professional jealousy could have easily spilled over into their personal lives. What once was brotherly ambition may have morphed into resentment and rivalry, with each trying to outshine the other in front of both the cameras and their community. But perhaps the most shocking theory involves a third-party figure, a mutual friend or associate, who allegedly played a more active role in escalating the conflict. According to sources close to the brothers, someone present at the scene of the fight may have been subtly provoking the two, possibly even encouraging the physical confrontation. This individual's motives remain unclear, but those familiar with the situation suggest that manipulation, misinformation, or even betrayal might have been at play. If true, it wouldn't be the first time reality TV relationships were tested by behind-the-scenes drama. The brawl between Marsau and Maurice wasn't just a public spectacle, it had real, devastating consequences for their families, careers, and reputations. Though the brothers may have thrown the punches, their wives were the ones left to pick up the pieces. For Marsau's wife, Letitia, the incident was particularly painful. As a strong, independent woman who had already endured challenges in their marriage, especially regarding Marsau's public behavior, this was a breaking point. Letitia had always fought to protect their family's image, but seeing her husband involved in such a violent altercation with his own brother pushed her to the edge. In a tearful interview after the incident, Letitia shared her heartbreak. "We've been through so much already, and this is just one more thing we didn't need. I don't know where we go from here." Her words, raw and full of emotion, revealed the depth of her disappointment. Despite everything, she had stood by Marsau until now. The fight left her struggling with trust, embarrassment, and the overwhelming task of shielding their children from the fallout. On the other side, Kimmy Scott was left to cope with the crumbling image of her once stable marriage. Always the voice of reason, Kimmy had long been admired for her maturity and composure. But even she couldn't hide her pain this time. In a heartfelt conversation with Maurice, she expressed her disillusionment. "I married you because I believed in us, but now I'm questioning everything. You both are grown men. This shouldn't have happened." Her words echoed the sentiments of fans across social media who saw Kimmy as a symbol of grace and balance. The fight had not only broken public trust, it had shaken the foundation of their marriage. Supporters rallied behind Kimmy, sympathizing with her quiet strength, but also questioning whether this very public humiliation was something their relationship could survive. Where do they go from here? As the dust settles, questions remain. Can the brothers repair the deep rift that has divided their families and tarnished their names? Or has too much damage been done? This chapter in the lives of Marsau and Maurice Scott reveals a truth many in the reality TV world know all too well. Fame magnifies everything. From jealousy and rivalry to love and betrayal, nothing stays hidden for long. And when personal wounds go unhealed, it only takes a spark, be it a word, a look, or a whisper, to set everything ablaze. While the public focused on the shocking fight between Marsau and Maurice Scott, the real victims of the scandal were the ones who had no voice in the matter, their children. As their father's violent altercation played out on television and across headlines, the emotional toll on their kids was profound and long-lasting. Marsau and Maurice, despite their differences, had always been family men. But in the aftermath of the brawl, their children were left to process the shame, confusion, and public scrutiny that followed. Watching their fathers physically fight, and knowing the world had seen it too, was a traumatic experience no child should have to endure. Letitia's children, who had once looked up to their father as a strong and admirable figure, now faced whispers and gossip at school. Friends and classmates discussed the incident, making it nearly impossible for them to escape the shadow of their father's actions. Similarly, Maurice's children had long viewed him as the steady, grounded force in their family. But after the fight, that image was shaken. A particularly heartbreaking moment came during a televised interview with a child psychologist who explained how deeply public violence can impact young minds. When children see their parents involved in physical conflict, especially when it plays out on a public stage, it damages their sense of safety, the psychologist said. They may begin to believe that violence is a valid way to solve problems, which can shape their behavior and emotional development in troubling ways. The consequences didn't end at home. Professionally, both Marsau and Maurice faced serious fallout that threatened to derail their careers. Maurice, who had built a solid reputation in the real estate world, saw immediate consequences. Several high-profile clients reportedly canceled deals, citing concerns over his professionalism and judgment. Though Maurice attempted to frame the fight as a personal issue unrelated to business, the damage was done. In a world where trust and image are everything, the optics of a public brawl were deeply damaging. Marsau, known for his charismatic and sometimes over-the-top personality, also found himself under fire. The incident revealed a side of him many fans hadn't seen before, and it didn't sit well with his sponsors. Brand partners began distancing themselves, worried that the controversy would reflect poorly on them. In the end, the brothers' actions didn't just hurt each other. They jeopardized their families, careers, and legacies. And for their children, the emotional scars may linger long after the headlines fade.